A military dog halted at the entrance to the helicopter, declining to board even with direct orders and the presence of nearby enemy forces. His handler was confronted with a difficult decision: leave his faithful companion or disregard instructions and jeopardize the safety of everyone. However, when they eventually determined what the dog had sensed within the aircraft, it sent a wave of apprehension through the group. If they had departed according to schedule, none of them would have survived. Curious to learn the reason? Please subscribe and leave a comment indicating your location. Now let's begin. The night air hung thick with tension as Staff Sergeant Mike Connors pressed his back against the stone wall of the compound, night vision goggles revealing the green-hued landscape of the remote village. Beside him, Sergeant Taylor checked his weapon, a nervous habit that had become familiar during their months of deployments together. "Tell me again why we're doing this discreetly?" Taylor murmured, observing the shadows. "Because officially we shouldn't be 10 kilometers within this area," Mike responded. He was focused on both their discussion and the compound's interior, where they'd been documenting weapons caches for the past hour. Headquarters requires plausible deniability should complications arise. Rex, Mike's Belgian Malinois partner, was positioned between them, remaining watchful even after having traversed 12 miles of challenging ground from their insertion point. The dog's ears reacted to every noise, his strong frame holding restrained power. "Time to move," Mike stated, glancing at his watch. "We've obtained what we were looking for." They quietly advanced through the darkness towards the eastern wall, employing their well-rehearsed stealth. Their extraction helicopter would not be ready for another 2 hours, at a landing zone 5 miles from their position. That's when everything went wrong. The spotlight caught them halfway across the open space, followed by shouted commands in a language neither of them spoke. Rex's low growl served as the only warning before gunfire erupted from the guard tower. "Go!" Mike shouted, returning fire as Taylor sprinted for cover. The following moments descended into chaos, muzzle flashes briefly lighting the darkness, the distinct sound of AK-47 fire, and the heavy sound of boots as guards reacted to the alarm. They moved towards the perimeter, Rex staying near Mike's side, sometimes quickly moving forward to create space between the pursuers and the retreating Americans. Taylor was injured just as they reached the outer wall, a bullet passing through his right thigh. "I'm hit," he gasped, falling against the ground, blood already soaking through his tactical pants. Mike pulled him behind rocks as more bullets flew overhead. Their location was exposed, their initial exfil plan ruined, and the closest Allied forces were over 30 miles away. "Command, this is Bravo 6, Mike spoke into his comms. "Mission compromised, 1 wounded and under fire. Request immediate extraction at secondary LZ." The crackling response confirmed his concerns. "Negative, Bravo 6. The closest available unit is 40 minutes away. Can you avoid detection and move to the rally point?" Mike observed Taylor's pale expression, then glanced at Rex, who remained vigilant at the edge of the area, attentive and alert, perceiving a threat the humans did not. "Roger that," Mike responded. "Heading to the rally point. We require medical assistance." He addressed Rex, giving the quiet instruction that would decide their survival. "Locate an escape route, boy." Rex proceeded purposefully, guiding them away from the compound, through a ravine not shown on their tactical maps. The dog stopped intermittently, ears swiveling to pick up sounds beyond human perception, before selecting routes that kept them hidden from the search parties scouring the hills. "Your dog is remarkable," Taylor said, struggling through gritted teeth, as Mike partially carried him across a rocky streambed. The improvised tourniquet had lessened the bleeding, but Taylor's complexion grew paler with each minute. How could he know where to go? Rex was chosen for missions such as this, Mike explained, thankful for the dialogue that helped keep Taylor conscious. Belgian Malinois possess remarkable situational awareness. He is analyzing terrain, registering sensory input, listening for dangers, processing all of it faster than any technology we have. They stopped as Mike examined Taylor's wound. The projectile had exited cleanly, yet the hemorrhage was substantial. Taylor would be unable to traverse any significant distance without support. "Command, this is Bravo 6, Mike transmitted via comms. Hostile forces remained in pursuit. Sergeant Taylor's state was worsening. Request for extraction prioritization was initiated. The radio emitted static. Bravo 6, this is command. A friendly helicopter was rerouted to your location. Estimated time of arrival, 25 minutes at coordinates Delta 3. Mike consulted his navigation device. Delta 3 remained 3 kilometers distant, a manageable distance ordinarily, but with Taylor's injury and enemy patrols active in the vicinity, reaching it would be precarious. We will arrive, he told Taylor, although uncertainty likely reflected in his gaze. Simply abandon me, Taylor said feebly. I am only an impediment. That is not occurring, Mike stated resolutely. We all return or no one does. Rex abruptly stiffened, fur bristling as he focused on the darkness behind them. Mike swiftly extinguished their tactical light, drawing Taylor further into the darkness. Moments later, a search group passed within 30 meters of where they were, the enemy soldiers illuminating the area with flashlights. Continuing onward, the sound of rotor blades reached them distantly. Rex increased his speed, indicating they were approaching their target. The dog led them through a final stretch of dense brush before the terrain opened, revealing a small clearing nestled between hills, their designated landing zone. We made it, Mike said, assisting Taylor, whose body was becoming increasingly weak. Just a little further. The clearing was scarcely large enough to accommodate a helicopter. Mike helped Taylor to lie down behind some boulders, examining his wound again. The bleeding had lessened, but Taylor's skin felt cold and clammy, and his eyes were having difficulty focusing. Stay with me, man, Mike encouraged. The helicopter is nearly here. Rex moved to the edge of their cover, his posture tense as he surveyed the surroundings. In the distance, the characteristic sound of helicopter rotors became increasingly noticeable. Command, this is Bravo 6 at extraction point, Mike reported. Be advised, enemy forces remain in the area. Approach with caution. Roger, Bravo 6. Black Hawk is 2 minutes out. Pop smoke when you have visual. The helicopter emerged as a dark shape against the night sky. The lights dimmed as they initiated a tactical maneuver. Mike deployed a smoke canister, and the Black Hawk descended swiftly, dust kicked up by the rotor blades. The side door opened, and Captain Riley, the pilot, made an urgent hand gesture for them to enter. Move it, Riley yelled above the engine's roar. I'm detecting multiple heat signatures approaching from the south. Mike helped Taylor to his feet, partially pulling him towards the helicopter. Rex moved in front of them, his ears perked and attentive to any danger. Riley called out, her expression tense, "Get in now. We've got company coming." 20 yards from the helicopter, Taylor's legs gave out. Mike adjusted his grip, now practically carrying his teammate, as they closed the final distance to safety. Just as they reached the boarding ramp, Rex abruptly stopped. The change in the dog's demeanor was dramatic. His body stiffened, ears flat against his head, eyes fixed on the helicopter. As Mike issued the order to board, Rex retreated, letting out a quiet growl Mike hadn't experienced except during training. Rex, come, Mike instructed. The dog, however, remained in place, obstructing access to the helicopter. What's the delay? Riley called out, her gaze shifting between her instruments and the landscape. We need to be airborne immediately. Taylor leaned against Mike, appearing to be barely aware of his surroundings. What's the issue with the dog? Mike looked at Rex, puzzled. Over 3 years of operations, encompassing numerous helicopter insertions and extractions, Rex had consistently followed commands. The dog's training was flawless, his obedience complete until now. Something's wrong, Mike muttered. He wouldn't act like this without a reason. We don't have time for this, Riley called out. Enemy forces are less than a click away and closing. Mike observed Rex's rigid posture, then looked to the helicopter, and finally to Taylor's pale face. Each second they remained exposed, their danger grew. However, Rex's actions triggered a warning he couldn't dismiss. The dog wasn't simply refusing to enter. He was actively blocking their approach to the aircraft. Rex, heel, Mike commanded again, his tone more insistent. The dog remained steadfast, his eyes fixed on the helicopter, his body rigid with what Mike identified as an alert posture, not fear. What the hell is going on? Riley shouted above the rotor noise. Less than 2 minutes remained before potential compromise. Mike's thoughts accelerated. Rex, trained to identify explosives, weapons, and other dangers, was hesitant to approach the helicopter. Mike reported a possible threat to the aircraft and instructed Taylor to descend. Rex is detecting something, he said. Riley's face changed from impatience to worry. My pre-flight checks were clean. There's nothing wrong with this bird, I stated. The radio on Mike's tactical vest emitted static. Bravo 6, this is command. Satellite indicates multiple hostiles are moving towards your location. Evacuate immediately. Repeat, evacuate immediately. Taylor's head rested against Mike's shoulder, his voice a whisper. The dog is agitated. Abandon him. That's not happening, Mike responded resolutely. The Malinois wasn't demonstrating general fear. It was exhibiting a specific alert response, the type it had been trained to show when detecting a threat. Command is ordering immediate extraction, Riley announced. Fuel is being consumed while we wait. A decision is needed, Sergeant. Mike was familiar with the established procedures. The mission held the highest priority. Taylor's life was critically important. The predefined procedure for operations under duress was unambiguous. The extraction must be completed at any cost. However, Rex had never been incorrect. I require 1 minute, Mike said to Riley. We cannot afford a minute, Riley responded. Enemy combatants are closing in from the south and west. If we do not launch immediately, we will all be eliminated or taken prisoner. The radio emitted a burst of static, followed by the voice of Colonel Westmore, the operation commander. Staff Sergeant Connors, this is a direct order. Board that helicopter immediately. Mike paused, wrestling with his sense of obligation and the intuition that had protected him during 3 deployments. Sir, my K9 is signaling a possible danger to the aircraft. I request authorization to examine the area before boarding. Colonel Westmore responded, Negative, Sergeant. An unmanned enemy drone is approaching your location in under 2 minutes. You are out of time. Abandon the dog if needed. Leave that stupid fucking dog and get on the chopper. That's an order, Connors. Westmore's voice crackled through the static. Something broke inside Mike at those words. 3 years together, dozens of missions, countless lives saved, including his own. Rex wasn't equipment, he was his partner. He's not just a dog, Mike replied, his voice firm, and he's indicating a problem with the aircraft. Are you jeopardizing this entire operation because of an animal? Westmore's voice boomed over the radio. That helicopter is the only resource available in the area. Miss this extraction and there won't be a second chance. Taylor's breathing had become shallow. His skin was turning a gray color that Mike had seen countless times from battlefield injuries. Immediate medical assistance was crucial. Without it, he wouldn't survive. Riley had deactivated the main rotors to preserve fuel. The helicopter remained motionless in the clearing while she observed her instruments. Command wants us to abort, she relayed to Mike. Orders are to take off in 30 seconds, with or without you. Mike remained steadfast, Rex still positioned between them and the helicopter, his focus unbroken. Years of battlefield experience had instilled in Mike a single, vital understanding. In critical situations, instinct takes precedence over instructions. If you proceed without us, the mission is compromised, Mike relayed to Riley. Taylor possesses the crucial intelligence. Should he be captured or killed, all that we've endangered our lives for will be lost. Riley's face displayed a transition from frustration to doubt. Command is threatening to permanently restrict my operations if I disregard instructions. My professional standing is at stake. So is mine, Mike responded. Rex is the top detection dog in the regiment. If he indicates a problem with that helicopter, there is a problem. The radio emitted static again, Westmore's voice now laced with anger. Captain Riley, you are instructed to take off immediately. Abandon Connors and the wounded if they are unwilling to board. That is a direct order. Following a moment of suspense, Riley removed her headset and exited the helicopter. Colonel Westmore, she said, speaking directly into the radio, this is Captain Riley. I will look into the K9's alert and will report back. Without waiting for a reply, She turned off the radio, cutting off Westmore's objection. You've just signed your own discharge papers, Mike said softly. Riley shrugged. Perhaps, but I've observed these dogs operate previously. If yours is this certain, it would be unwise not to verify. Riley tossed her flight helmet into the cockpit and moved forward cautiously, pausing a short distance from where Rex kept his alert position. What is he trained to detect? She asked. Explosives, weapons, chemical agents, Mike replied. But he's also cross-trained for mechanical anomalies. Dogs can detect subtle changes in machinery that instruments miss. Riley's professional skepticism conflicted with her pilot's instinct for caution. I performed a complete pre-flight check before takeoff. All systems were nominal. Mike nodded toward Rex. He disagrees. A moan from Taylor brought their attention back to her. The wounded soldier's condition was worsening rapidly, his face now ashen. We need to get him treatment sooner, he won't make it, Mike stated urgently. Riley looked back at the helicopter, then surveyed the surrounding terrain where enemy forces were approaching. I'm giving this 5 minutes, she decided. If we don't find anything by then, we fly. Dog or no dog. Deal, Mike agreed quickly. Rex, find it. The command freed the Malinois from his blocking position. Rather than entering the helicopter, Rex commenced a careful sweep around the aircraft, his nose working with focus as he detected something undetectable to the humans. Rex's concentration grew stronger on the port side close to the engine housing. His posture altered slightly, ears pointing forward, tail rigid, movements more precise. He's nearing something, he communicated to Riley. This is the way he acts when he's pinpointing a target. Riley observed with increasing worry as Rex stopped under the main rotor assembly, his nose directed upward towards the engine housing. The dog glanced back at Mike, then looked again at the engine, his stance now stiff with alertness. He's found something, Mike confirmed. It's inside the engine compartment. Riley paused briefly before deciding. I need to check it, she stated, climbing onto the helicopter skid to reach the maintenance panel. Should a mechanical problem be significant enough for your dog to identify, I require notification prior to takeoff. As she reached for the access panel, a distant crack resonated across the clearing, a rifle shot from the advancing enemy forces. They've located us, Mike warned, drawing his sidearm. We're out of time. Riley's expression became resolute as she operated the latches on the access panel. Then let's hope your dog is correct and we can repair whatever he's found in the next 3 minutes. The maintenance panel creaked open, exposing the intricate network of fuel lines and hydraulic controls. Riley directed her tactical flashlight into the space, carefully examining the parts. Report, Riley, Mike called out to her. What's your assessment? Riley's features shifted as her light caught something at the back of the compartment. I'm seeing a hairline fracture in the main fuel feed line, she stated, her voice strained. Fuel was leaking onto the hot section housing. How bad? Mike asked. Riley moved to get a better view with her light. The crack was severe enough that flight vibrations would have widened it within minutes once cruising altitude was reached. She didn't complete the sentence, but her concerned expression conveyed the gravity of the situation. Catastrophic failure, Mike asked directly. Riley confirmed. Mid-air fuel line rupture feeding directly onto superheated engine components. Best case, emergency landing in hostile territory. The most severe possibility is fire and explosion, Mike determined. This appears to be damage caused by temperature changes, she stated. The sandstorms allow fine particles to spread everywhere, particularly affecting engine parts. A gunshot sounded nearer now, followed by shouts echoing in the distance. Can you repair it? Mike asked urgently. Riley hesitated, biting her lip. Perhaps. I possess a field repair kit, but it's intended for hydraulic lines, not fuel feeds. It might last long enough to get us back to base, but I can't guarantee it. The dog's ears suddenly perked up, his focus directed towards the ridge line where shadows moved against the night sky. They're getting closer, Mike warned. Whatever you're going to do it quickly. Riley went to the cockpit, returning with a compact repair kit. I need 5 minutes, she said, climbing back up to the engine compartment. Maybe less if your dog's observation saves us from having to troubleshoot. Mike gently scratched Rex behind the ears. Good boy, he murmured, the best boy. Riley worked with practiced efficiency, her fingers moving deftly despite the awkward angle and poor lighting. The specialized epoxy compound she applied needed to create a temporary seal strong enough to withstand the pressure of flight. "This repair won't pass any inspection," she muttered, wrapping a reinforcing mesh around the crack. "But it might get us home." Mike stood at the perimeter, rifle ready as he surveyed the advancing hillside. The enemy fighters were moving steadily closer, utilizing the terrain for cover. "How much longer?" he inquired of Riley. "Almost there," she responded, not looking up from her task. "The compound needs another 60 seconds to set properly before I can pressurize the system." Rex abruptly froze, his focus fixed on the eastern approach to the clearing. A low growl resonated in his chest. Mike quickly noticed the alteration in behavior. "They're closer than we thought," he murmured to Riley. "Rex has them." The dog's ears were pressed against his head, his body tense. Mike lifted his rifle, peering through the tactical scope to survey the area Rex was fixated on. There, a brief movement against the rocks. 2 individuals, potentially 3, were moving in a flanking maneuver as the primary force advanced from the west. "Riley," Mike called quietly, his voice filled with urgency. "Enemy contacts are approaching from behind, less than 100 meters and closing rapidly. We must depart immediately." Riley completed the last application of sealant, her actions swift but accurate. She stated, 30 more seconds are needed for the minimum curing time, as she already began closing the access panel. A shorter time would risk the patch failing during takeoff. "Rex," Mike instructed quietly, "protect Taylor." The Malinois instantly moved to position himself guardedly next to the unconscious soldier. Mike established a defensive posture, rifle firmly against his shoulder. The initial muzzle flash appeared on the eastern ridge. A rifle shot followed, accompanied by the sound of a bullet passing above. Mike fired in measured bursts, prioritizing suppression over attempts to hit targets obscured by distance. Under fire, he called out as additional shots echoed from several locations. 10 seconds, Riley responded, noting the helicopter's rotors initiating their startup sequence. Rex emitted a sharp bark, signaling movement from another direction. Mike turned, observing 3 more fighters advancing from the southern edge of the clearing. He discharged another burst, causing them to retreat for cover. "We need to load Taylor now," Riley called over the intensifying rotor noise. "The patch will either hold or it won't, but we're running out of time." Mike secured his rifle and hurried to Taylor's side, lifting the injured soldier in a fireman's carry. The volume of enemy fire increased as he advanced towards the helicopter, bullets impacting the earth close by and ricocheting from the aircraft's armored underside. The key uncertainty lingered. Would Rex now enter the helicopter of his own accord, given the mechanical problem was resolved? Mike paused at the boarding ramp, glancing toward his canine partner. "Rex, come a bordo." The instant lingered as Rex stood at the ramp's edge. His focus remained on the engine compartment, the location of the repair. Without hesitation, the dog jumped into the cabin, indicating his approval of Riley's work. "He's good with it," Mike shouted to Riley as he secured Taylor on the cabin floor. "Let's go." The helicopter lifted shakily, its engine straining as Riley performed an emergency takeoff procedure. Mike took position at the open door, rifle ready as enemy fire continued to strike the aircraft's underside. A violent shudder ran through the aircraft as something struck the tail section. Alert signals illuminated Riley's instrument panel, yet she kept the aircraft steady, sharply turning eastward to create space from the attacking fighters. She relayed that the tail rotor had sustained damage, her hands swiftly adjusting the controls, managing to keep the helicopter operational, albeit precariously. A rapid detonation occurred on the hillside, an RPG having narrowly missed them. The blast's impact jolted the helicopter, causing a brief spin that Riley struggled to correct. "They possess substantial weaponry, we skate," Mike exclaimed, observing yet another combatant identified by the recognizable barrel of a rocket launcher. Another RPG whizzed past them, narrowly avoiding the primary rotor by a few inches before exploding in the night sky beyond. The helicopter vibrated once more, alarms sounding in the cockpit as systems neared their operational boundaries. As Mike reached for the radio, a frightening new sound pierced the helicopter's noise. A high-pitched whine emanated from the engine compartment, followed by a metallic snap that echoed through the airframe. Riley's eyes widened in alarm as warning indicators illuminated her panel. Fuel pressure was decreasing, the patch was failing. Riley swiftly manipulated the controls, making quick adjustments to preserve altitude. She rerouted fuel flow, deactivated non-essential systems, and reported we might reach Outpost Delta if the secondary lines remain functional. Rex proceeded to the cockpit entrance, his focus returning to the engine compartment. However, unlike his earlier vigilant stance, the dog now simply observed, his ears pricked forward, seemingly assessing the circumstances. "I think your dog is performing systems checks," Riley remarked with a tense laugh. "He keeps looking directly at the location of that fuel line." Another mechanical groan arose from the engine, accompanied by a brief increase in power. The aircraft stabilized, establishing a rhythm despite the damage and strained repairs. "I believe the epoxy is resealing as it warms," Riley stated, a cautious hope evident in her voice as she examined the instruments. "Pressure is stabilizing, it's not ideal, but potentially sufficient to get us home." Mike engaged the communication system. "Command, this is Bravo 6, we are airborne with one critically wounded. Helicopter sustained damage during extraction. We are requesting an emergency medical team at Outpost Delta, ETA 20 minutes. Static filled the airwaves as Colonel Westmore's voice cut through. His previous frustration vanished, replaced by a calm, professional demeanor. "Copy that, Bravo 6 medical team standing by, what's your aircraft status?" Captain Riley grasped the handset. "This is Captain Riley, aircraft operational but damaged. Tail rotor compromised, fuel system patched. We'll make it to Delta, but this bird won't fly again without major repairs." Westmore responded. "Understood. Priority is getting our people home safe." "Well done, Captain. Excellent work, Staff Sergeant." The lights of Outpost Delta became visible on the horizon. This was a comforting sight following the difficult flight. Riley had kept the helicopter at a reduced altitude, carefully managing the damaged systems and maximizing the aircraft's capabilities. She announced, with noticeable relief, 5 minutes remaining, noting that a medical team should be ready. To Mike's surprise, Taylor's eyes opened briefly. The dog, he whispered, his voice barely audible over the engine noise, was right. "Yes, he was," Mike agreed, signaling Rex to come closer. The Malinois approached carefully, seeming to understand the fragility of the wounded soldier. "He saved all of us." The helicopter descended toward the brightly lit landing pad, its movement sluggish, but controlled under Riley's expert handling. Upon landing, medical staff quickly moved forward with a stretcher, and ground crew positioned fire suppression equipment around the aircraft. Taylor was transferred to the medical team, with Mike providing a quick summary of his condition as preparations began to move him to the field hospital. As Taylor was transported, Riley exited the cockpit, her flight suit marked with hydraulic fluid and sweat. With exhaustion visible in her movements, but satisfaction in her eyes, she addressed Mike and Rex. "Your dog," she said, shaking her head in amazement, "just saved 3 lives in a $12 million aircraft." If that fuel line had ruptured at altitude, she trailed off, leaving the implications clear to both of them. Colonel Westmore then approached from the command center, his expression unreadable as he stopped before them. A brief, tense silence fell as Mike prepared for the expected rebuke. Unexpectedly, Westmore offered his hand. "That was some of the finest judgment I've seen in 20 years of command, Sergeant Connors," he said, astonishing both Mike and Riley. Prioritizing his canine partner over direct orders demonstrated courage. He then knelt before Rex, who displayed impeccable military bearing, even after the challenges of the extended mission. Regarding this soldier, Westmore stated, with evident respect in his voice, "I believe there's a stake in the officer's mess bearing his name." Following Westmore's departure, Riley addressed Mike. "I've been flying for 12 years, she said softly, "and never once questioned my pre-flight checks or the maintenance team's work. If your dog hadn't stopped us," she shook her head, unable to finish the thought. "That's why we trust them," Mike responded briefly. Despite potential failures in technology, established procedures, and even directives, they still observe what remains unseen. Rex rested against Mike's leg, exhibiting signs of tiredness now that the immediate threat had subsided. Considering that this dog had traversed miles of challenging terrain, identified a crucial mechanical fault, and rescued 3 lives during a single night, it appeared to be a deserved display of weariness. "Come on, boy," he said softly. "Let's go check on Taylor, and then I believe someone promised you chicken." Have you ever observed an animal perceiving danger that humans missed? The remarkable capabilities of certain animals, particularly trained military and police dogs, frequently determine the difference between life and death in crucial situations. Would you rely on your animal's instincts even if it required disregarding direct orders? Staff Sergeant Connors confronted this challenging decision, and his belief and his partner protected everyone on that mission. Share your opinions in the comments below. If this incredible story of canine heroism impressed you, please like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing tales. Click the bell icon to turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Share this video with friends who appreciate the extraordinary bond between handlers and their canine partners. Check out our previous canine stories appearing on your screen now. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, with a brand new video. Ash was trained to obey, particularly in perilous situations. However, as firefighters retreated from the collapsing apartment complex, he performed an unexpected act, broke free, and sprinted directly into the flames. All around, people yelled for him to halt, but when his handler, Alex Reed, pursued him and observed where the dog had led, the entire fire ground became still. What did Ash unearth from under the rubble, prompting even experienced firefighters to retreat? Please subscribe and leave a comment below, letting us know your location. Now let's begin. The search and rescue dog halted at a pile of rubble, remaining still despite the firefighters' instructions to exit the burning building. "Get your dog out of there," the chief demanded, until the animal began frantically digging through the debris. The entire rescue team was stunned when they uncovered what was hidden beneath. Before we begin today's story, please leave a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. If you enjoy remarkable dog stories like this one, be sure to click the subscribe button. You're going to want to see what's next. The first alarm shattered the quiet at Westside Fire Station 12 as dawn broke over the city. Firefighter Alex Reed quickly woke from his brief rest in the break room, his training kicking in as he put on his gear. The dispatcher's voice broke through the speakers, conveying clear urgency. "All units, please respond to 1400 Oakwood Terrace. Apartment complex fire, multiple floors involved, with possible entrapments reported." Alex's hands moved with practiced efficiency, securing each strap and buckle as Chief Martinez issued orders across the bay. Then, as he prepared himself, his eyes sought out his partner. Ash, a 4-year-old Belgian Malinois with intelligent amber eyes, was already alert, his muscular body tensed in anticipation. The search and rescue dog displayed no uncertainty, unlike the humans nearby. He showed only focus and readiness. "Ash, gear up," Alex called, and the dog immediately trotted to where his specialized vest hung. The reflective harness displayed the marks of 3 years of service, small burns, tears mended with careful stitches, and patches replaced following difficult rescues. Each mark represented stories of lives saved and perils confronted together. As Engine 12 started, Alex secured Ash in the rescue vehicle. Captain Jenkins looked back from the driver's seat, his aged face serious. Dispatch stated the situation was critical. It involved a 5-story complex. The fire began on the 2nd floor, but flames were now visible from 3 sides. From his position, Alex already observed a column of thick black smoke rising against the dawn sky, creating an ominous silhouette against the awakening city. A familiar tension tightened his chest. It wasn't fear, but the focusing edge of adrenaline that sharpened his senses. Beside him, Ash's breathing remained steady. His eyes remained fixed forward, as if he could already see the task ahead. They rounded the final corner onto Oakwood Terrace, and the disaster revealed itself. The Ridgewood Apartments, housing over 50 families, had become a rapidly spreading fire. Flames were visible from the windows on the 2nd and 3rd floors, climbing upward with alarming speed. Outside, residents stood in night clothes, some wrapped in blankets, others in stunned silence as they observed their homes burning. Chief Martinez was establishing command as Alex exited the truck with Ash at his heels. Engine 12, initiate water supply. Ladder 7, east side evacuation. Reed, prepare Ash. Verify missing persons on floors 3 and 4. Alex swiftly knelt beside Ash, ensuring the proper fit of his protective booties and specialized respirator mask designed to filter smoke particles. Ready to save lives, buddy? He asked, looking into those intelligent eyes that displayed only determination. Ash responded with a single, focused bark, their established routine before entering any fire scene. Firefighting operations proceeded with disciplined urgency surrounding them. Water lines stretched across the pavement, ladder trucks were positioned strategically, and teams of firefighters moved with purpose. However, for Alex and Ash, the focus narrowed to a single mission: to locate those unable to escape. The stairwell was a chimney of heat and smoke as they ascended. Alex kept one hand on the railing and the other on Ash's specialized lead, although the dog required little guidance. Amidst the disarray of fire alarms and flames engulfing the building, Ash moved with a determination that appeared almost unreal to those unfamiliar with search dogs in action. 4th floor first, Alex instructed through his mask, his words barely discernible above the din of the emergency. 3 years prior, Alex couldn't have envisioned this partnership. Following the loss of his previous search dog, Max, in a warehouse collapse, he had vowed to discontinue working with the canine division. The guilt remained intense, the memories too difficult. He'd moved to regular firefighting responsibilities, resolved to protect his heart from further connections. Then came the shelter visit that altered everything. Ash had been found abandoned in a foreclosed home, severely malnourished, but still full of life. Something in the dog's steadfast gaze broke through Alex's carefully built barriers. The shelter worker had said this one knew what it meant to be trapped, and to be found. Now, as they reached the 4th floor, that same determined spirit guided Ash through conditions that would have disoriented most humans. The smoke was so thick that Alex's flashlight created more glare than illumination, but Ash navigated confidently, his nose working through his specialized mask to filter scents from the smoke. Alex shouted, initiating the standard call, though it was likely futile against the fire's roar. But protocol dictated it. Ash suddenly veered left, heading toward apartment 403. The door was closed, but intensely hot, suggesting a fire inside. Alex signaled Ash to retreat, then breached the door using his halogen tool. A surge of heat and black smoke poured out, briefly pushing them back, but Ash quickly regained his focus, guiding Alex through the confusing darkness of what had previously been a family living room. Fire department, is anyone here? Alex repeated, scanning the area with his thermal imaging camera. The furniture was now completely ablaze, transforming the apartment into a labyrinth of flames. Ash emitted a sharp, warning sound and pulled them toward a bedroom door. Alex followed, relying on his partner's senses more than the restricted view his equipment offered. Upon reaching the door, he discovered it was stuck, likely due to heat distortion or an obstruction within. Step back, Ash, he instructed, then forcefully impacted his shoulder against the door several times until it yielded. The bedroom was not as heavily engulfed in flames, but was filled with dangerous smoke. 3 small figures were huddled together on the floor, in the corner farthest from the door. A woman held 2 children, and all were unconscious. I've got victims in 403, Alex reported over his radio, already moving toward the family. The mother and 2 children were unresponsive. Time felt compressed into a series of urgent actions. Alex checked for pulses, all were present but weak. He briefly placed his own mask over each child, allowing them a few seconds of pure oxygen before resuming his own breathing. Using practiced motions, he lifted the smaller child onto his left shoulder and instructed Ash to secure the specially designed pull sleeve on the second child's pajamas, a rescue method they had refined through numerous training exercises. Carrying the mother proved too difficult while also handling the child and the dog, but further firefighters were already en route to his call. 2 members of Ladder 7 emerged from the smoke, appearing like figures in their protective gear. I've got the mother, one stated, already lifting her. You get the kids out. The return trip through the burning apartment was a perilous path, filled with falling debris and rapidly spreading flames. Ash didn't pause, keeping a steady hold on the child's pole sleeve as he moved through the disorder. This was when his preparation proved valuable, the skill to resolve an issue on his own while still obeying Alex's instructions. They arrived at the stairwell just as a portion of the ceiling fell behind them, sending sparks showering over their backs. The children were starting to awaken, a positive indication, but the building was failing quickly. "Move! Move!" Alex implored, addressing both his human co-workers and to Ash. Descending the staircase proved quicker but riskier than climbing up, as the fire had weakened the building's structure. At last, they emerged through the exit into the comparatively secure staging area, where paramedics were present. Alex released the children into the care of the medical staff, observing as oxygen masks were placed over their faces. Ash loosened his hold on the pole sleeve only when Alex gave the command, then stood watch nearby as the medical team worked. The radio crackled with new urgency. "All interior teams, be advised, we have reports of an elderly couple still missing in 312. Anyone available to check?" Alex met Ash's gaze, who appeared completely unfazed by the ordeal they'd just survived. Despite the heat and exertion, the dogs stood ready, awaiting the next command. Rescue 4 responding, Alex reported, Reed and Ash heading to the 3rd floor. This was their established pattern, their objective, a recurring sequence of risk and rescue that characterized their partnership. They returned toward the burning building with minimal pause, taking only a quick drink of water each, unswayed by the flames now visible from nearly every window. The 3rd floor presented a devastated scene of fallen ceiling tiles, shattered glass, and flame-damaged furniture. The building's sprinkler system had activated, but was clearly inadequate, creating a disturbing imitation of rainfall that transformed the smoke into a hazardous mist instead of suppressing the fire. 312 should be to the right, Alex muttered, primarily to himself as Ash headed in that direction. The heat pressed against them, a palpable force, straining the boundaries of both man and dog's protective gear. Alex's thermal sensors indicated excessively high ambient temperatures. Time was limited before the environment became unsustainable. Ash halted outside apartment 312, his posture indicating a heightened state of readiness. The door was already ajar, probably due to previous evacuation efforts. Alex pushed it open further, and his halogen tool illuminated an apartment beginning to be engulfed by fire. "Fire department! Shout out!" Unexpectedly, a weak voice responded from within. "Help! We are here. Bathroom." Without being told, Ash moved towards where the voice originated. There, they discovered an elderly man kneeling beside the bathtub, his wife lying unconscious, a damp towel covering her face in a frantic effort to reduce the smoke. With assistance from further firefighters, who arrived promptly, they safely evacuated the elderly couple through a fire escape, coinciding with that part of the building exhibiting signs of potential collapse. Almost immediately after Alex's boots made contact with the concrete, a loud groaning signaled the partial collapse of the building's eastern section, exactly where they had been only moments before. "All personnel accounted for?" Chief Martinez's voice resonated over the radios and throughout the staging area. A rapid series of confirmations then followed as team leaders checked the safety of their team members. Alex examined Ash carefully, using familiar motions to check for any hidden injuries. Finding none, he took off the dog's breathing mask, allowing Ash to breathe easily in the comparatively fresh air outside. "You did well, buddy," he said softly, offering water from a specialized bottle. "Really well." Chief Martinez arrived, his face covered in soot under his helmet. "You and Ash take 15. Position yourself on the southwest corner with Engine 3. We will be taking a defensive posture around the entire structure. The building is too severely damaged to allow for any additional entries." Alex acknowledged, appreciating the short break. He led Ash to the rehabilitation station where Dr. Chun, the department veterinarian, was already present, having been summoned for the significant incident. "Let me see him," Dr. Chun stated, quickly assessing Ash's respiratory rate and inspecting his paws for burns. "He is exhibiting mild heat stress, but it is not serious." Ensure he remains hydrated and in the shade for at least 15 minutes. All residents accounted for? Alex asked a nearby officer who was updating the incident board. As far as we can tell, she replied, checking her clipboard. The building manager confirmed all apartments evacuated or searched, 17 to hospital, no confirmed fatalities. Alex felt the familiar mixture of exhaustion and relief that came with a successful evacuation. He turned to tell Ash the good news, but noticed the dog's behavior had shifted dramatically. The easygoing stance of a working dog, enjoying a deserved rest, had vanished. Instead, Ash stood stiffly, ears pricked, eyes locked on the burning building with an intensity Alex readily understood. "Ash, what is it?" he asked, instantly aware of the change. The dog whined, a sound seldom heard from the trained rescue animal, and advanced several steps toward the burning building before glancing back at Alex with unmistakable urgency. "There's no one else in there, buddy," Alex said, attempting to reassure him. "We got everyone out." Yet, even as he spoke, a chilling sense of foreboding arose within him. In 3 years of partnership, he had never once seen Ash incorrect regarding a possible victim. Should the dog suspect someone was still present, then someone was, irrespective of the official head count. Ash barked sharply, the sound piercing the noise of the fire scene. Subsequently, the bark was more insistent. "Whoa, settle him down," advised Lieutenant Wilson, who had been assigned temporary handling duties, while Alex prepared to join the exterior firefighting efforts. "He's likely just reacting to all the stimulation." Wilson attempted to grasp Ash's leash, but the dog retreated, barking with rising intensity, his gaze fixed on the burning building. "Something's wrong," Alex stated, already reaching for his equipment. "He doesn't act like this. Never." Before Wilson could retrieve the leash, Ash reacted, propelling himself forward with such unexpected power that the clasp securing his harness to the lead broke apart. Within a moment, the rescue dog was sprinting across the fire ground, maneuvering between firefighters and equipment with unwavering focus. "Ash!" Alex yelled, a wave of dread washing over him as he observed his partner heading toward the structure, completely consumed by fire. "Ash, stop!" But the dog had already moved through a ground-floor entrance, disappearing into the smoke and flames without pause. "Mayday! Mayday!" Alex shouted into his radio, already heading for his equipment. "Canine officer has re-entered the building. East entrance, ground floor." The response was immediate and incredulous. "Say again, Reed." "Your dog went back in," they stated. Alex was quickly attaching his oxygen tank, skipping standard checks due to his urgency. "Affirmative. Ash has re-entered. He's detecting something, suggesting someone might still be inside." "Negative on re-entry, Reed." Chief Martinez's immediate order came. "The building is structurally compromised. I repeat, do not enter that building." Despite the urgency, Alex's hands remained steady as he fastened his mask and helmet. 3 years of partnership, hundreds of hours of training, and dozens of live rescues had instilled in him a fundamental understanding. Ash never erred concerning victims. If the dog indicated someone was present, then someone was there. Official head counts were irrelevant. With respect, Chief, Alex responded, already moving toward the building. "My partner is inside, and he has located something. I'm entering the structure." "Reed, stand down." Martinez's voice boomed, reaching both the radio and the staging area, as he noticed Alex's action. "That is a direct order." For a fleeting instant, Alex paused, 15 years of trained obedience clashing with the firm belief that his partner required his help. Then, a recollection surfaced. Max, his initial partner, had been lost because Alex had obeyed a withdrawal command instead of following the dog's intuition. "I cannot, sir," he responded succinctly, and he entered the smoke. The building's interior was almost unrecognizable compared to just 20 minutes prior. What had been a hazardous but passable structure was now a scene of collapsed ceilings, burning furniture, and structural beams dangling overhead. The temperature had climbed to levels straining his protective gear. The air was so intensely hot that each breath felt like inhaling fire despite his SCBA. Alex called, his voice muffled by his mask and the constant roar of the fire. "Ash." Navigating by memory and instinct, He pushed toward where apartment 104 should be, the direction Ash had headed. Visibility was near zero, forcing him to stay low and move by feel as much as sight. His thermal imaging camera showed little beyond an overwhelming field of heat signatures from the fire itself. A partial ceiling collapse compelled him to withdraw briefly, locating an alternative passage through what had previously served as a first-floor community room. The ticking clock was a significant challenge, not only due to the increasingly hazardous building conditions but also because of his dwindling air supply. His tank indicated he had approximately 15 minutes remaining before he would be compelled to retreat or risk suffocation. "Bark if you hear me, Ash," he called out, hoping the instruction would prompt a reply he could track. Initially, there was only the chaotic noise of a collapsing building. Then, a distinct bark echoed from within, and Alex focused on the sound, advancing with determination. After 3 minutes of cautious movement, he reached a corridor unfamiliar to him. Fallen support beams had broken through the ceiling, forming a dangerous path of burning wreckage. The temperature was exceptionally high, and the faceplate of his mask was exhibiting clear signs of heat stress. Another bark, closer now, directed him onward. Finally, through a haze of smoke, Alex observed a recognizable figure. Ash, partially hidden by scattered wreckage, yet undeniably alive and working with considerable urgency. "Ash, thank God!" Alex exhaled, swiftly approaching to reach his comrade. What he discovered stunned him utterly. Ash surveyed a large accumulation of rubble, seemingly from a collapsed interior wall and ceiling. The dog was digging and pulling at the debris, stopping briefly to look back at Alex with a desperate, urgent expression. Someone was trapped beneath. Alex knelt beside Ash, working quickly to move the debris that had so agitated the dog. "Good boy," he said, even as his gloved hands tore at shattered drywall and splintered wood. "Show me, Ash. Show me where." Ash increased his efforts in a particular area, his nose working tirelessly despite the dense smoke. Alex concentrated his efforts there as well, disregarding the precarious sounds of the building around them and the decreasing air pressure indicated on his gauge. Almost overlooking it when his glove brushed against an unexpected object, Ash's urgent calls redirected his focus. Working with urgency, Alex cleared more debris and located what Ash had identified. A human hand, small and delicate, was visible beneath the rubble. With a racing heart, he checked the wrist, hoping for a sign that seemed unlikely given the circumstances, and felt it a pulse, faint but discernible. "I've got a victim," he announced into his radio. Adrenaline flooded his system, causing his voice to waver. "First floor, east corridor under collapse. Victim is alive. Repeat, live victim." With painstaking effort, he removed more of the wreckage, exposing more of the person trapped, a teenage girl who was unconscious but alive. Her face was partially shielded by what looked like a bathroom door that had fallen at an angle over her. "Hang on," he murmured, knowing she couldn't hear him. "We're going to get you out." The scene was intensely difficult. He could now see her clearly. However, substantial portions of wall and ceiling still held her lower body. Moving the victim without the right tools created a risk of additional injury or a potential destabilization of the entire collapse section. A loud groaning from above signaled a possible further collapse. Simultaneously, his air gauge indicated a 5-minute warning. He faced difficult decisions. Remain with the victim and risk all 3 of them being buried, or leave to seek assistance, with the possibility of returning to find the girl crushed by a subsequent collapse. The choice was made for him when Ash abruptly stiffened, ears pointed towards the hallway. Shortly after, the welcome appearance of 2 firefighters in full gear appeared from the smoke. "Over here," Alex called, a wave of relief washing over him. "We have a live victim." The RIT team reacted swiftly, evaluating the situation with practiced efficiency. "We need to reinforce this before extraction," the leader decided. "Hansen, retrieve the portable stabilizers from your pack." Collaborating, the 3 firefighters meticulously placed emergency bracing to avoid additional collapse while they rescued the trapped girl. Ash remained nearby, his presence offering an unusual sense of reassurance within the chaotic scene, as he persistently monitored the girl. "On 3, The RIT leader instructed when they were prepared. 1, 2, 3. They raised the heaviest piece of debris jointly, enabling the second team member to swiftly extract the girl. Alex quickly rechecked her vitals. She was still alive, though her breathing was shallow and labored. Let's move now, the leader ordered. This whole section is going to collapse any second. Alex scooped the girl into his arms while the RIT members gathered their equipment. She was lighter than expected, likely no more than 15 or 16 years old. Her right leg was at an unusual angle, clearly broken, and a jagged piece of glass had become lodged in her shoulder. Although she sustained injuries, smoke inhalation presented the most pressing danger to her. Guided by Ash, they commenced their withdrawal through the burning structure. The dog's search and rescue training, now focused on locating an escape route, proved invaluable, a skill that had previously saved numerous lives, including those of fellow firefighters, facing swiftly evolving circumstances. As they retreated, the ceiling collapsed entirely, unleashing a wave of dust and debris that pursued them along the corridor. The building was nearing the end of its structural failure, complete collapse now unavoidable. Alex's air supply emitted its last alert sound as they neared what had previously been the building's primary entrance. His vision was starting to narrow, potentially due to lack of oxygen or intense fatigue, but he would not release his grip on the girl. Ash remained slightly ahead, finding a path through the smoke with remarkable accuracy. Following what felt like an endless amount of time, a rectangular area of lighter gray emerged within the pervasive black smoke, signifying the exit. Alex, using his remaining strength, advanced forward, with Ash providing steadfast guidance during those essential final steps. They broke through the doorway into the comparatively brighter environment outside. They emerged through a dense cloud of smoke, just as another portion of the building crumbled behind them with a deafening crash. The shift from the inferno to the open air was startling, from a deafening roar to the organized chaos of the command area. For a moment, Alex simply stood there, the unconscious girl cradled in his arms, Ash pressed against his leg. All three of them appeared as living sculptures of ash and exhaustion. "We need a medic?" someone shouted, and suddenly they were surrounded by paramedics, hands reaching for the girl, voices overlapping in a rapid assessment. A female adolescent, approximately 15 to 16 years of age, Alex reported as he gently transferred her to the waiting gurney. She was found unconscious, with shallow breathing, a weak but present pulse, a fractured right femur, and a laceration to her left shoulder with embedded glass. Probable smoke inhalation was also noted. While preparations were underway to transfer the girl to the ambulance, Alex observed something held in her hand, a small silver locket, its chain wrapped firmly around her fingers, seemingly the most valuable thing she possessed. "Wait," he stated, indicating it, "ensure that remains with her. Could be significant." Only then did Alex permit himself to be directed towards the medical assessment area, Ash walking with a slight limp beside him. Dr. Chun went directly to examine the dog, while another paramedic urged Alex to sit down and accept oxygen. A second-degree burn was observed on his left flank, Dr. Chun reported, carefully cleaning the injury. Minor burns were present on all 4 paw pads, even with the boots. He is severely dehydrated and showing signs of smoke inhalation, but his condition is not critical. "Both of you need treatment," stated Chief Martinez, whose voice was stern, as he arrived amidst the organized chaos of the scene. His face held a complex blend of anger and satisfaction. "Sir, I can explain," Alex started, but Martinez interrupted. "You disregarded instructions, put yourself and the RIT team at risk, and broke established procedures," he said, adding, "all of which we will review once medical personnel confirm you are both stable." His expression eased a little. Was Ash correct? The girl? Was she at the location he specified? Alex confirmed the precise location, buried beneath collapsed debris within the former apartment 104. Conventional search and rescue efforts would not have led us to her. 2 weeks later, Alex and Ash were at Westside Fire Station 12 for an event that had been presented as a modest acknowledgement of their actions. The station's apparatus bay had been decorated with department flags and arranged with rows of chairs intended for city officials, emergency services representatives, and members of the media. While the mayor presented citations for extraordinary service, The station doors opened, revealing unexpected guests, Thomas and Jennifer Harmon, and notably, their daughter, Lily. The teenager moved carefully, using crutches. Her broken leg was encased in a cast adorned with numerous signatures. "We heard about today's recognition," Thomas said. Lily emphasized her desire to be present. The teenager approached Ash, who remained in a formal seated posture, but couldn't hide a subtle tail wag indicating he recognized her. "The doctors say I can return to school next week," Lily told Alex. "I still need physical therapy for my leg, but my lungs are almost completely recovered." She awkwardly lowered herself despite using her crutches to be at the dog's eye level. "I brought something for you," she said, reaching into her pocket. She crafted a miniature replica of her grandmother's silver locket, designed to fit on a dog's collar. "It's not the original," she clarified. "That remains with me, but I wanted Ash to have something as well." She looked at Alex. "Would it be all right to fasten it to his collar?" With deliberate movements, Lily secured the small silver locket to Ash's collar. "Now you'll always have a reminder of the life you saved." Subsequently, while traversing the well-known hallways of Station 12, Captain Jenkins approached them. "Welcome back, you two. Ready to get to work?" Alex looked down at Ash, who responded with that characteristic look of complete preparedness, the working dog's version of excitement restrained by training. "Yes, sir," Alex replied, experiencing a sense of completeness for the first time since their experience. "We're ready." Have you ever observed an animal detect something that humans entirely overlooked? It's striking how their instincts can occasionally detect dangers that remain unnoticed by our presumed advanced senses. What action would you have taken if you were in Alex's position? Would you have trusted your partner's instincts enough to risk everything? If you've ever developed a special connection with an animal, you know that communication extends beyond commands and training. Has a pet or working animal ever surprised you with their intelligence in a critical moment? If today's story resonated with you, please click the like button to assist us in reaching a wider audience of animal enthusiasts. Remember to subscribe to our channel for more captivating canine narratives and tap the notification bell to stay informed about our latest uploads. Kindly share this video with friends and family who admire the incredible skills of working dogs. Be sure to view our additional stories about brave dogs currently playing, including the remarkable account of a tracking dog who located a lost Alzheimer's patient during a blizzard. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, with another brand new video.